India's free UPI payment system could be heading for a big policy change. Parliament has passed a bill that removes the legal barrier preventing charges on UPI and certain other digital payments. The government says this does not mean UPI users will start paying fees, but the amendment opens the door for the government to introduce merchant fees on UPI in the future through a notification. At the same time, the timing has triggered another debate. Just weeks ago, the US Trade Representative criticized India's zero-fee UPI and RuPay system, saying it disadvantages American payment companies like Visa and Mastercard. So, is this simply about making UPI financially sustainable? Or is India changing its digital payments policy under American trade pressure? Let's first understand what has actually changed. The Parliament has passed the Taxation and Other Laws Amendment Bill 2026, which amends Section 10 of the Payment and Settlement Systems Act 2007. Until now, this law effectively prevented banks and payment service providers from imposing merchant discount rate or MDR on UPI and RuPay debit card transactions. The amendment changes that, instead of permanently prohibiting such charges, it allows the government to notify fees on specified electronic payment modes in the future. That is the key change. The law itself does not introduce any fee today. It simply gives the government the legal power to do so later. Now, merchant discount rate is essentially a fee paid by businesses whenever they accept digital payments. It helps banks and payment companies recover the cost of processing transactions, cybersecurity, fraud prevention, settlement systems and payment infrastructure. Customers usually don't pay MDR directly. Merchants do, but businesses can sometimes factor these costs into the prices consumers eventually pay. For UPI, MDR has remained zero since January 2020, helping make India's digital payment revolution possible. Today, UPI processes billions of transactions every month without any merchant fee. According to multiple media reports, one proposal under discussion is an MDR of around 0.25% to 0.4% on UPI payments above 2,000 rupees made to businesses. Person-to-person transfers are expected to remain free. The proposal is also expected to focus mainly on larger merchants, not neighborhood kirana stores or small retailers. So where does US President Donald Trump come into this story? The debate intensified after the US Trade Representative's 2026 National Trade Estimate report criticized India's digital payment policies. The report argued that India's zero-fee UPI and RuPay ecosystem gives domestic payment systems an unfair advantage over foreign payment companies such as Visa and Mastercard. It described India's policy as a foreign trade barrier and said American electronic payment providers are unable to compete on what it calls a level playing field. Since UPI launched in 2016, millions of consumers have shifted away from debit and credit cards. That has reduced transaction fee income for global card networks like Visa and Mastercard, whose business model depends on merchant fees. However, on the face of it, the two developments may not have a direct link. But it notes that the Trump administration has consistently pushed trading partners to create what it calls a level playing field in digital payments. An Indian Express report points out that the United States has raised similar concerns against several countries that promote their own domestic payment systems. Brazil's Pix payment network, Indonesia's National Payment Gateway, Vietnam's Domestic Payments Network, China's UnionPay, and even countries in the Gulf developing local card systems. In each case, Washington has argued that domestic payment policies disadvantage American payment companies. That is why some analysts believe the UPI debate is part of a much larger global trade dispute over digital payments. The Global Trade Research Initiative, or GTRI, says India should not rewrite its UPI policies under US pressure. According to the think tank, any decision on MDR should depend only on what is needed to make India's digital payments ecosystem financially sustainable, not on protecting the profits of foreign payment companies. Union Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman says the debate is being misunderstood. She has clarified that merchant discount rate applies only to merchants and not customers. She also says no decision has yet been taken on whether MDR will actually be introduced. According to her, the decision will be taken later by the NPCI-led UPI and Services Steering Committee after the law comes into force. The Congress, however, argues that removing the legal guarantee keeping UPI free opens the door to future charges and has questioned whether the move is linked to repeated American objections. The government rejects that allegation.